Good afternoon and welcome to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Ice storm really impacted northeastern Mississippi last night. Power outages galore. As a matter of fact, you can see the power outage map behind me. Hardest hit areas from Lafayette County up around Alcorn, Benton County, as well as Tippah County. Massive power outages there. Right now, the highest percentage, 89% of customers are without power in Benton County. But just to the east, Alcorn County, many of you familiar with the town of Corinth, that's where Highway 72 and 45 intersect. They too took a big hit from all of this. And joining me right now is Evan Gibbons. He is the EMA director for Alcorn County. Evan, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us this afternoon. I know you're a busy man, but can you give us just a quick assessment of what Alcorn County has dealt with?
Sure. So the last update I had from our power company, it's been a few hours. We've been very busy with intaking calls for our 911 center. They told us that we were at 100% outage across Alcorn County, that we lost power for substations from TVA, and until they could get that repaired, we're looking at severe prolonged operations there. Trees, widespread damage from one end of the county to the other. We do have roads that are completely impassable due to the amount of trees that are on them. Aside from the ice, which is everywhere as well. We are currently at around 60 individuals at our warming shelter and calls constantly coming in. We are in very much of need of food supplies and water for sheltering purposes, as well as manpower. Our emergency crews have been out since late last night, answering calls of trees on houses, individuals trapped. We've extricated several individuals from homes from around 1:30, 2 a.m. sometime in that time span, and ongoing. We still have some individuals we're trying to reach in a specific neighborhood. But again, like I said, due to the sheer impact of the ice on the trees, they're just everywhere, and it's a really slow process for response.
Evan, can you give us any idea of the amount of ice that you guys got? What was the, are we looking at an inch or more of ice accumulation on power lines and trees?
So I've not went out and actually tried to measure it yet, but just windshield assessment, I would say closer to an inch.
And anytime we get over that half inch of ice, that's when things come down. By the way, for those of you who are watching, a half an inch of ice on a power line adds about 1,000 pounds. So you get an inch, you're talking 2,000 pounds on a power line and tree limb. They're coming down. You talk about people being trapped. Have there been any reports of fatalities in the area that you are aware of?
No, sir, not at this time. We've been very fortunate. The trees we have had on houses, to my knowledge, thus far, we have not had any injuries or fatalities. Now, I'm praying that doesn't change, but as response continues, we'll continue to monitor that.
I would assume the biggest challenge is just getting to people, especially those who have made 911 calls. Are phone services still up, or means of communication? Do people have that in any way, shape, or form?
Right now, cell service is somewhat spotty, but it is still intact. So we have that going for us at the moment, and it is very helpful.
That's good. So it's an all hands on deck situation right now for the entire county. Can you give us more specifics for the town of Corinth itself?
So I have not been able to get into town yet to check. I have been slammed at our emergency operations center. I am trying to get a better windshield assessment of what we've got in the city and the four corners of Alcorn County. I do know that they got impacted as well. So we are very much keeping an eye on that and talking with them. And if we have anything else to report, we definitely will. But we are calling on all of our community members around here to check on their neighbors. If they have adequate heat sources and your neighbor doesn't, we're asking you to help us out here, because we are trying very diligently to get everyone taken care of.
How are medical facilities in the area holding up? Hospitals and minor meds, things like that. Are they open? Are they functioning? Can people who can get out and about that need help, can they get there? And will they be able to find the help they need?
Right now, our hospital is fully operational. Our assisted living facilities, all of them, to my knowledge, are on generator backup. So right now, it appears that they are still in normal operation, so to speak. And I don't know, I wouldn't say open for business, but they are making it through it.
Last night we saw some pretty impressive images of semis on Highway 22, just jackknife backed up. What has it been like on 7245? That's pretty well traversed in that area. What's it looking like there? Any major traffic buildup or accidents that are going to take a while to clear out?
We have had a few 18-wheelers that just weren't able to make it over the hills and things. I don't know of just any major wrecks, so to speak. We have pushed out a PR campaign since this forecast has come out and just begging people to stay off the roadways. I believe that has helped curb some of that. We have not had any large, significant MVAs at this time, to my knowledge.
That's good to hear. That is very good to hear. And Evan, with this inch and a half of ice on the ground out there, this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. You guys are looking at temperatures going to be near single digits for overnight lows. We're likely not going to get above freezing there for several days. What do you anticipate the long-term impacts of this to be?
Definitely. So obviously, longest term impact is getting that power back on, so we can get folks back in their homes and things, pending they have no damage. So right now we're just keeping an eye on the trees. Hopefully, I think the last forecast I seen was no precip. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you were right.
So
yeah.
we're hoping that we fare out and that our trees that still left continue to hold up until that starts to thaw out.
So a lot of people in that area have generators and fireplaces, things like that, wood burning stoves. But those with gas powered generators, are there gas stations open in the area? Are pumps working? Oftentimes the cold has a big impact on that as well. So for anybody who is maybe able to get out, will they be able to find fuel?
Unless something has changed within the last hour and a half, there are no gas stations in operation at this time other than one that has assisted us for emergency vehicles. So other than that, we do not have any open fuel sources.
Now, Governor Tate Reeves declared a state of emergency for Mississippi ahead of this storm. What sort of resources are you looking at from the state and from federal levels?
Sure. So before the storm, we put in requests for generators for our warming shelter. We've got those online. I've put in requests for Red Cross assistance, National Guard assistance for food and manpower on staffing our shelter, and hopefully we can get some food sources there from one of those two entities.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So power, the biggest issue, mobility, the second biggest issue in that area. What can people who are watching right now do, or is there anything they can do to offer assistance to Alcorn County?
Absolutely. If you have any means of food sources, either wholesale or private donation, please reach out to us. Our number is 662-286-7737. Let us know if you could assist in any way. And again, we're asking our community partners to help us out. And if you've got a neighbor that's in need and you've got adequate shelter, please help us by taking them in if you see fit.
Now, you still got a long haul ahead. Final question: how are you and your crews holding up?
We're hanging in there. We're doing the best we can. We're staying in best of spirits, and we're rocking along as best we possibly can.
That's good to hear. That is very good to hear. Evan Gibbons, our hearts go out to you. Our thoughts, our prayers to you and everybody in Alcorn County and northeastern Mississippi impacted by this. I know you are a very busy man. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day today to talk to us and update us. We're going to be thinking about you. You heard, folks, if you can help, Alcorn County needs it, and it looks like it's going to be a long, several days, possibly even weeks ahead. So, Evan Gibbons, the head of the EMA for Alcorn County, thank you again for taking time. God bless you. And we'll be checking back with you guys as the week progresses to see how things are going on. All right?
Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care. Thank you. What an absolutely incredible experience. Look at this power outage map. This is, by the way, Lydia Coombs is on my over here on the side. She's my digital desk guru and is going to be helping me out here. I have no idea how any of this stuff works, and she can work it all like magic. But look at these are just percentages, all right? So we are looking at the percentage of customers, but now Evan Gibbons tells us that Alcorn County is 100% without power. The entire county is without power. Second hardest hit is Benton County at about 89%, 76% for Tippah County, and Lafayette County at about 75%. Now, right now, it looks like we've got spotty outages around Chester County, Bolivar just going up to about 45%, so we're getting new data in. A few spotty outages in Tate County, Panola County with about 33% of customers without power there, and about 7% in Quitman County. That's where we saw a greater concentration of sleet. But where you see the higher percentage of power outages, that's where we're seeing the greater that's where we saw really the greatest amount of freezing rain that fell, bringing down trees, bringing down power lines, and creating big problems there that are going to be felt for a long time. Here in the city of Memphis, we were fortunate, extremely fortunate. All week long, we were very confident that we would just be dealing with sleet. We picked up about another inch of sleet last night. Many of you may have heard it in the early morning hours coming down, hitting the windows, but it was sleet for Memphis and across much of the area, as a matter of fact, right around much of West Tennessee, northeastern Arkansas. I checked in with my buddy Ryan Vaughn, who's at our Gray Station in Jonesboro. He tells me they picked up about 5 to 6 inches of snow and had another close to 2 inches of sleet on top of that. So they're dealing with their own issues, but the sleet, the snow, that doesn't create the bigger problems with power outages. It's the freezing rain that has a big impact. But impacts are being felt around the Mid-South nonetheless. Now, it continues to be a first alert weather day here in the Action News 5 coverage area as ice, sleet, snow blanketing the Mid-South, and we've got reporters out and about. I do believe we have Jerry Askin, who's out with us right now and brings us Jared Thomas, Jared Thomas is out right now. Hey, Jared, how are you? Tell us first, where are you? Secondly, how it feels out there. And third, what you've observed.
Hey, Ron, how are you? Well, right now we're here right in Covington on West Church Street, and we're right in front of the First United Methodist Church. I mean, one thing I want to say, it is a Sunday, and so normally you'll see cars here at church after service. It is after service hours right now, but normally you kind of see at least 1 or 2, 3 cars. Right now, I want you to look right where you're seeing, and you see is nothing. Right now, the snow, when the ice is getting harder and is continuing to build up. It's not snowing right now, but the wind and the cold temperatures are dropping. So we want you guys to be safe. I know I spoke to the officials today. I spoke to the police chief and I also spoke to the fire chief. The police chief is also saying that they don't want anybody on the roads because it's unsafe. No matter, even if you do have an all-wheel drive, make sure you're just being safe. If you do have to get on the roads to make it to work, but if you don't, stay inside. It'll keep everybody in safety because they're fearing that they might even get stuck and they're going to be part of the problem, and they do not want that. Now, when I spoke to the fire chief of Covington, he mentioned that they only want people to call for an emergency. Please do not call 911 if it's a non-emergency. Make sure that you know exactly what the emergency is. That's like a heart attack, or if you're about to pass away, or whatever the case may be. Just make sure you're being safe when it comes to that. And also, we're looking over and you can see people one person is already starting to try to get their driveway shoveled out. You can see the hard snow and everything that they're shoveling and getting through I'm sorry, I'm trying to walk through this deep snow right now. As you can see on the ground, you can see how hard it is and how heavy that snow is. So also, when you are outside shoveling, make sure you're keeping yourself hydrated, making sure you're drinking plenty of water, making sure you're staying warm, making sure you have gloves, coats, and scarves and everything just to stay warm so you don't get hypothermia or anything else. And like I said, the main message here today is being safe on the roads, because the roads are not clear. As you can see down below right now, that the roads are still compacted with a lot of snow, and is now turning into ice as the temperatures get colder and it continues to harden up. So make sure you're being safe if you do have to drive. We see a car right behind us. They're driving on the snow, and that's about the speed limit that you should be driving if you are going to drive. Make sure you're driving slow. Make sure you're putting on your brakes extra fast, and make sure, like I said, you are being safe. That is the key here. Ron, I'm gonna send it back to you in the studio. All right, Jared Thomas, Action News 5.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
First, can you give us an idea of the depth of the snow and sleet in that area? What are you looking? What are you?
Yes, I'm gonna have my
not
photographer
sure if you've
Richard.
measured or okay, here we go.
So you
So
see,
it's ankle
it
deep.
is, and it's actually deeper. It's actually deeper than this. So let me show you one more time. This is my foot. We're standing on top of it. And if you go down deep, and you see how it broke off, look at this.
Wow.
I want you to see
Wow.
this. Look how hard it is. Because
So you've
it's
got a layer of
freezing
ice on
up.
top
So
of that.
it's a huge layer. Huge layer. So that's why we're still saying that this is not safe to drive in. This is not safe at all. You can slide, you can get stuck. We've been seeing several people. We actually went on a ride with the police chief, and we saw at least 2 or 3 people stuck in the snow. Couldn't move, couldn't get out. And actually, Ron, it wasn't cars that were stuck. These were pickup trucks, SUVs,
Wow.
cars that you think that could actually move inside and on the roads, but it was still stopping them from getting to point A to point B. So that is, like I said, the biggest message. Make sure you're being safe.
Jared, Covington implemented a curfew. Last night they had a curfew from 6 p to 6 a, and that's extended today from 6 p to 6 a Monday morning. You rode with Chief Donna Turner today. She's been through events like this over the years. Did she mention the potential or the possibility of extending that curfew? Because this stuff's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yes, so they will be extending that curfew, like you mentioned. It will be extended till at least tomorrow. I know that when I spoke to her earlier, she did inform me that kids around Tipton County will not have school for Monday or Tuesday. So, like I said, these temperatures are not fun to be out. I know if you are going to be out, make sure you are layered up. As you can see, I have a coat on, I have a scarf on, I have a vest, and I still have 2 or 3 jackets under all of this. And I also have extra pants and extra other garments on, extra socks, 2 pairs of socks. So make sure you are layering up if you have to absolutely be out in this cold weather. If the kids don't have school tomorrow, I understand it's fun and you guys get to relax, but we're also being serious about this, that this is not a game. This is serious, cold, extremely cold temperatures, and we want you guys to be safe.
Jared, you were out in the elements yesterday. Is there a difference today in just mobility, how it feels, what have you? Anything that you can share with our viewers on just the differences in that 24-hour period?
Yes, Ron. So I know when me and my photographer Richard first got here Friday night around 9 p.m., the roads were clear. It wasn't even that cold out here. I think I only had 1 jacket on and some sweatpants. When we woke up the next morning, that Saturday morning around 3 a.m., that's when everything started coming down. You could see snow, and then you got a little bit of sleet, and then you got a mixture of snow, and then snow took over the rest of the day. I even had a snowball fight on Saturday. And then today, Sunday, when we woke up, all you saw was sleet. It was just a layer of sleet everywhere. And we started looking on the roads, seeing how hard it was. I think I even slipped this morning and almost fell. So, like I said, it's been a change of pace every single time. You'll see snow, you'll see sleet, but mainly we saw more sleet today. And then now things have stopped, and so it's just getting cold. And those, like I said, those temperatures are making it so cold to where this snow is starting to harden up and become ice.
Jared, you've been doing a great job for us. I know it's tough out there. I'm sitting here in a warm studio. You are out in the elements, but you've been bringing us the firsthand view of what's going on out there. We're going to look forward to hearing more from you. Action News 5 today, and we'll look for at 5 o'clock, and we'll look for your report on Action News 5 at 10. In the meantime, in between, make sure you get some warm time and find a little shelter from the elements. Thank you for that report, Jared. It's good to have you on the team. It's good to have you out there in Tipton County, too. We appreciate it. All right, so that was Jared, who is in Tipton County, the town of Covington right now. And you can see, fortunately for them, mainly snow and sleet, but it's thick. It is making travel extremely difficult, and that's the case across much of the area, including Memphis and Shelby County. We saw primarily sleet, close to 4 inches of it at that. So we are looking at travel issues that will extend well into the week ahead, and the bitter cold. That's prompted us to declare a first alert weather day for Monday and Tuesday as a result of that. So we've got the city of Memphis that has a press conference coming up in just a few minutes. So we're going to take them once we see their feed come up and share the latest information that from our city officials here. Yesterday we heard from Doug McGowan, we heard from at MLGW, we heard from Public Works, and a host of others involved in just helping the city get through this. Right now I see Jenny DePrizio with the city up. Let's take that conference.
Good afternoon. Thank you. So similar to this morning, road conditions are pretty tough out there. City crews continue to treat the roadways, the designated routes with our salts and our plows. Progress has been slow but productive on the designated routes. I think the main issue is going to be the smaller collector and neighborhood streets as they're making, with the morning commute and making their way to try to get to the designated routes and the interstates. That's going to be a lot of the major issues. So we're still encouraging everyone to, if you can, stay home. I know, with tomorrow being a work day and the Monday morning commute, that's going to be probably a little harder than it was over the weekend. But, the extreme cold that's still with us today, as well as coming in tonight, it's going to cause, dangerous conditions, and any of the accumulation that did melt upon the roadways that we're still working with the crews, that's going to start to refreeze in areas where we've pushed it, and it's going to start, kind of forming blocks of ice. So just be cognizant and aware of that. If you have to get out, be extremely cautious. But that's the update from Public Works.
Okay, can we go to MLGW President Doug McGowan?
Thank you so much. All systems are operating normally at Memphis Light Gas and Water. Small number of individual outages of customers that were hopping on very quickly. And the gas system and water systems are operating normally and within tolerances. Supply and demand are balanced and equal. And so we're feeling like we're in a very good place right now. Again, just paying attention to the cold weather and asking everybody to take care of those pipes so that we don't have a significant number of burst pipes as we go along in these very cold temperatures over the next few days.
All right, thank you very much. How about OEM Manager Jason Tunstall?
Good morning. During the weather, not much has changed since morning weather update. Precipitation should be out of the area of Memphis, and the temperature will continue to drop throughout the night. Currently, looks like the low tonight will be around 10 degrees. Tomorrow we will see sunshine again, but with that has only the high is only going to be in the 20s. Be careful with the wind chill tonight, as it will be a negative numbers. Everyone stay safe.
How about, can we go to Parks Director Justice Bolden?
Yes, good afternoon. The Memphis Parks is currently serving approximately 38 residents in our warming centers, including 24 residents in our 24-hour locations. And those 24-hour locations are Ed Rice Community Center, Hickory Hill Community Center, as well as Orange Mound Community Center. We are preparing to close our daytime facilities, which are open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And those warming centers are Fraser Raleigh, Gaston Community Center, Geisman, as well as Burt Ferguson. Thank you.
Thank you. How about MATA trustee Roderick Holmes?
Good afternoon. You've already heard it on this briefing. The roads are dangerous, and traffic is moving extremely slow. We're seeing this firsthand as our crews have been out transporting individuals to the warming centers since very early this morning, about 2 a.m. Based on their observations and working closely with our city partners and emergency teams that we have, we've made the difficult decision, but necessary, to suspend services again tomorrow. This is going to include fixed routes, Matter Plus, Ready, Trolley, and Groove on Demand. We will, however, continue the critical work of transporting people to the warming centers. If you need a ride to the warming center, we'd ask that you call sooner versus later once you know that you have that need, so we can safely get to you and then get you to the destination. Additionally, all MATA transit centers will remain closed tomorrow. We will continue to monitor the weather and work closely with our city leadership and emergency management partners. And should conditions change, we will update that on our website at mattatransit.com and on our social media, which is Ride Matta. Thank you.
Thanks. And how about Hospitality Hub, Jessica Huarty?
Good afternoon. The warming center is still open at First Baptist Church. However, we have now added in 590 Washington Avenue at the Hospitality Hub's main center for women only. So we've made the change where First Baptist Church is men, because we've seen such a high number of individuals come in, and we wanted to make some additional space for the men there. So all women are now diverted to the Hospitality Hub. And just want to remind everyone, as it's already been stated, if you need a ride there or you see someone outside who might need a ride, check in with them, confirm they need to get to a warming center, and then call 901-486-0939. Our team will answer that call and coordinate with MATA for that transportation. Just know with attempts that, as it's already been stated, they're in the low teens, high 20s. It is life or death for people who are unhoused remaining outside. So please encourage folks to come in, help make that call if they need it. Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any other members of the team who want to provide any updates at this point for the media? Okay, well, at this point, then we'll go ahead and take weather-related questions from the media, if you have any.
Sam Harden with the Daily Memphian. How many men are at First Baptist, Jessica?
We have about 270 right now.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. As we've said before, we are updating our information at the memphistn.gov/weather, winter weather page, and we'll be providing updates on that page as things develop. Thank you very much.
Jenny DiPrizio, who is the spokesperson for the city of Memphis, leading that press conference for us and giving us an assessment of how things are in and around the city of Memphis. Lydia, do we have a high five camera that we can show? Is there one we can pop up? Because I want you to see what streets look like. And all it really takes is one camera. We can show East Memphis or Midtown, because it doesn't really matter where you look. It's all the same. But I want you to see it for yourself, just so you know how treacherous it is out on the streets today. And that's why I want everybody home. We've seen very little traffic out there, which is a beautiful thing. But at the same time, some folks still feel the need to get out and about and just trying to see what it looks like for themselves. And the problem with that is that if you don't have a vehicle that can traverse through this, and very few can, there's Midtown right there. That is Midtown Memphis, Union Avenue there on the left side of your screen. But even with vehicles that are equipped to travel through this, it's extremely treacherous because it's ice. It is ice on the streets. This sleet that fell last night, there's downtown Riverside Drive. I don't even see a car on Riverside Drive. So we fared well in regard to the type of precipitation. Freezing rain would have been catastrophic for Memphis. You can see some of the power outage percentages behind me. And here in the city, we fared very well. But now the sleet is on the road, and that's just going to make a sheet of ice. And tonight, with a hard freeze and temperatures falling near freezing, or excuse me, in the single digits tonight, well below freezing, it's just going to make these streets an ice skating rink later tonight and through the morning tomorrow. So that's why I want you to stay off the roads. Power, the biggest issue. I think, do we have Amani? Is she ready to go down in Clark? 3 minutes? All right. So in the meantime, this is the power outage map that is behind me. We are trying to get in touch also with EMA and county officials in some of the harder hit counties. I'm hoping to speak with Jimmy Grisham, who's the head of the Benton County EMA. They're looking at close to 100% power outage for the county. Tippah County, 76% there. We're going to hear also from Scott Williams, the Poinsett County EMA, right around 3:45 this afternoon. Poinsett County actually fared well with just snow and sleet, but they got a lot of it, and that's going to keep it on the road for a while. We just got word moments ago that Oxford City Schools will be closed for the entire week. So right now, that information just coming out. Oxford City Schools, or schools in the town of Oxford, closed for the entire week. No power, no way to get around. It's basically just, it's treacherous in that area. We've got some updates coming into play. I'm wondering if we're starting to see power get back on. I'm going to check in on that in just a moment. This is from, what's that view from? Is that Amani, Clarksdale? I do believe. All right, so that was a live shot from Clarksdale. And we were worried about that area for freezing rain last night. Overall, I think they did okay. I don't see any significant power outages there. Monty Williams spent the night down in Clarksdale. She was able to get out and about last night, but that second round that came in, and many of you may have heard it, with the heavy sleet hitting the windows. I spent the night here at the television station, and there was one point after midnight, a little closer to around 4 a.m., the sleet was coming down so hard, you could hear it on the windows at our studios here at 1960 Union Avenue. So sleet was the bigger issue, but where we're seeing the massive power outages, that's where the freezing rain was falling. So that's what we're looking at there. And I do want to remind you that we still have a winter storm warning that is in effect for the coverage area. Let me advance to this one more time. Even though the precipitation is gone, oh, they've now canceled it. Good news there. So the ice storm warning, winter storm warning is canceled, but it is still a first alert weather day simply because we're now going to be dealing with the effects of bitter cold that will come into play for the entire Mid-South for tonight, tomorrow. This extends until Tuesday at noon. We may get above freezing at the time, but I tell you what, right now, temperatures well below it no matter where you are in the Mid-South. These are air temperatures, 15 degrees in Dyersburg. It's 18 in Memphis right now. Reporting stations are out in Oxford and Corinth. So our general assessment and just looking at the trend, temperatures right around 18 to 20 degrees. I think really closer to about 17 to 18 for Oxford, Corinth, and really all of northeastern Mississippi. Highway 22 is a mess with ice on the road there. We had jackknife trucks that were right around Holly Springs and points south of there last night. So the ice not going anywhere. And look, just for people, even if you're at your home, just venturing out in your yard, look at what it feels like. It feels like it's 5 degrees in Memphis right now. Feels like it's 1 in Blytheville and Dyersburg, 5 in Holly Springs. Jared Thomas was talking about bundling up. He's wearing 3 times the layer of clothing he had yesterday. So we heard from him, and that was great advice. Bundle up. And speaking of bundling up, I do believe Amani Williams. Do I see you wearing more layers today, Amani? Because it is bitterly cold out there. Give me an idea, first of all, how it was last night. What was your thinking when that heavier precip was coming down?
Well, as soon as we got off the air last night, that's when you could literally hear and see heavy sleet just coming down super, super fast. Like it was like something opened in the sky, and then all the sleet just came down here in Clarksdale. Even some of the people that were inside of that hostel that I was in, they even said that they were surprised to see all of that sleet come down. And I knew as soon as I saw that it would not be good.
We just lost her.
What was left, and so we saw all of the ice just covered the roads back again this morning and into this afternoon.
All right, Amani, so what is it like today compared to yesterday in just being able to get around?
I would say we are having to take it a little slower today for sure. Darren has been driving extra careful because he says that it is a little more slippery. It's a lot icier here on the roads. I've talked to the Coahoma County Sheriff's Office, the sheriff, and I also spoke with the mayor here in Clarksdale. They both said that the roads are really, really bad, especially on those back roads. We're here off of Highway 161, and I do see a snowplow coming down. I'm gonna get Darren's gonna turn it around so we can see. There's a snowplow coming up and down the road. We've been seeing that here on Highway 161, but we've also seen a lot of people getting stuck right here on the highway as well. I think there's someone stuck back behind the snowplow. And we've been seeing that on and off all day. People are trying to get to gas stations and things like that, but they're getting stuck. So be careful if you get out. It's cold, so you don't even probably want to be out here unless you have to.
Amani, we are hoping to talk to Mayor Orlando Patton coming up at about 3:30 this afternoon. When you spoke with him earlier today, was there anything specific that he said that residents in that area need to hear?
He told us that residents need to hear that they probably should stay inside. There was a fire that happened earlier, maybe about 15-20 minutes ago, because we just started to see a lot of smoke everywhere. I did call him. He said there was a fire, and I believe the fire truck was on its way to the fire and it got stuck in the snow. So that's how bad the road conditions are here. The fire was able to get out and not too much damage, but there was a fire and the fire truck was stuck.
Well, it feels like it's 10 degrees right now in where you are.
It feels like
Amani.
2 for me. To me, it feels like 2.
But before I let you go, you found a hot spot last night in Clarksdale. One of the juke joints was actually open last night. And it looked like, despite what was coming down, a handful of folks and the band were still playing along. What do you think about tonight?
You know what they told me? They said there is live music in Clarksdale every night. So it may be some live music tonight too. They said every night, so we'll see.
All right, well, Amani Williams, get in someplace safe. Thank you for taking time out. You'll be joining us with a live report on Action News 5 at 5. We appreciate all the hard work you've been putting in down there in the last 24 to 36 hours. We'll see you tonight on Action News 5 at 5 and again at 10. Amani Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I want to go to, I do believe we've got Jimmy Grisham from the Benton County EMA. Is that true? Do we have him? Where is his audio stream? Can you guys give it to me? Right there. Here we go. And Jimmy, Benton County EMA Director, are you there? Can you hear me? I don't hear him. I don't know if we've got a technical issue, but look, Benton County was hit hard with power outages there, and almost about 90% of the county without power in Benton County. So I'm hoping to get a report just to find out maybe how thick the ice was in that area. And so I tell you what, we'll redirect and see if we can come up with a little something else in just a moment. Hope to hear from him because, again, Benton County hit hard. As a matter of fact, let me throw up the power outage map one more time to give you an idea of power outages. I do believe it's updating. It shows 1.25% for Oxford. I think the power outage there has impacted the map that we're using here to display those outages. We'll see if we can refresh that and get that going for you in just a minute. But you can see 87% of Benton County without power, about 76% of Tippah County. We're showing 50% of Corinth, but we heard from Evan Giddon earlier, who was the EMA director in Alcorn County, and he tells us 100% of that county is without power, but they do have their EMA folks, their first responders that are out and about responding right now to people who may be in need of help. I think I see do I see Garner Montgomery down in Oxford? Can we take him? Because I would love to get his take on what's going on down in Lafayette County and in Oxford. So, and in the meantime, you guys try to get Jimmy on the phone for me, but can we bring up Garner? Is he ready to go at this time? I see his live feed is up. And Garner Montgomery, can you hear me? I think he's with Jonathan Clayton, our photographer. Jonathan, by the way, lives down in Hickory Flat, Mississippi. Benton County is his home, and he has got family, friends down in that area, another county that was hit hard. So, power, the biggest issue. And look, I got to tell you, the National Weather Service did a great job with the placement of the ice storm warning. It played out exactly as we had anticipated, with the heavier ice from Corinth down to Lafayette County and for points a little farther east. But for most of the Action News 5 coverage area, it was sleet. Sleet is a much better option, but both of those linger on streets forever. The freezing rain is what adheres to power lines and tree limbs and poses a great threat in bringing those down, adding that additional weight to it. But sleet primarily collects on the ground. So we fared well here in the city of Memphis, but now with bitter cold in place, folks, we're not going to be able to get around for several days. It's going to take a while for this stuff to melt. And even though city crews treated the streets prior to the event, had dry weather to do so, get out, spread the brine, that ice, it just does not melt as quickly as it would were it snow, even with the brine on the streets, because the ice is thicker, there's less air in between the ice pellets, and as a result, it really just becomes a skating rink out there. I got to tell you right now, I'm dreading my drive home later on tonight, if I can get home, simply because there's going to be a hard freeze coming into play tonight. Now, I do see Garner Montgomery there. Garner, do I, there, all right, all right, here we go. He is dialing into our IFB. We have a hot microphone for him right now. We should be able to take him in just a moment. And by the way, we've had crews all over North Mississippi, in and around West Tennessee. Garner, Amani, Jared Thomas, so many others have been out and about in this. We've had Kelly Cook, Doc Holliday bringing us live reports along with Kim Clark from inside the city. But Garner, man, you were in the bullseye last night. What was it like, and what were you thinking as all of this was happening? And the one quick note, Eric and I were watching the live camera in the Oxford Town Square, noticing the blue flashing lights. Similar thing happened here in Memphis in '94. Those were transformers exploding. The blue in the sky. Eric looked up and said, "Look, I think we've got lightning. Freezing rain lightning." I said, "No, buddy, those are transformers exploding." And gradually, the town just got dark, and then we lost that camera. What was your experience being in it, Garner?
Now, I can't speak exactly for myself because as soon as we ended our live shot at 10, I was out like a light getting ready to do the same thing today. But I talked with a lot of college students today who said that they were out last night, and that's exactly what they heard. booms, crashes, the sound of limbs falling rapidly, and the sound of the boom of transformers like you just described. That's been something that a lot of students have been experiencing that I've talked with. A lot of students are out here right now because power outages are so widespread, both close to downtown and throughout Lafayette County. This is one of the few places that has some businesses with power. So we're seeing a ton of Ole Miss students out here. The local Mexican restaurant, there's some people trying to check into our hotel, which had a generator. Unfortunately, there are no vacancies left. Of course, the Waffle House is right across the street. One of the gas stations, one of the convenience stores I saw with the line across the store. It's really crowded out here right now. It's definitely something I'm concerned about, especially because you can see these roads are really slick. They are covered in a thick sheet of ice right now. We want to make sure that everyone is out here is safe. Hopefully they had to for various reasons, if they were out of food or something like that. This is something you should only go out to do if it's a necessity, if there is no other option for you, which seems like for a lot of students, they just didn't think that far ahead.
You know, I see a lot of traffic behind you. Now, it does look like, well, it looks like the streets are a sheet of ice, but it seems like people are getting around okay right now. Is that a correct assessment?
I'd say that it's definitely smooth travels. It's not like the ice has accumulated in a way to where it's going to be a bumpy ride the way that snowplows did not move through this area, so I think that may have been part of it. There's been kind of well traveled at this point, so seems like people for the most part are driving carefully. Some folks are taking this chance to go around the roundabout and say hi to us, but we want to make sure that they're driving slow and not entirely distracted. We may have to move somewhere else for the next hit, just so that these people driving on the roundabout can stay safe and not be distracted by us.
Yeah, exactly. I see the traffic light working behind you. So we were seeing earlier, Garner, that there was widespread power outages. Is power coming back on sporadically, or how are crews working to get power on? Do you have any idea of businesses that have power where you are?
So this is the Oxford Commons area where we don't see any utility lines. Looks like this may be a place where underground wiring is prioritized. So it looks like some of these local businesses are the only ones in Oxford that are seeing power. If you head to downtown, it is completely dead. There's traffic lights are down. We have seen some places with power, some without. Around 11 of the 16 circuits in Oxford Utilities have lost power. So that's not everything. This here where we're at right now, it just happens to be close to our hotel where we can get these live shots quickly. This is the exception, not the rule.
All right, Garner Montgomery, I want to ask, you've got Than Clayton with you. He is a photographer working with you. Than has a lot and lives in Benton County, which was hit pretty hard right around Hickory Flat, Mississippi, Highway 22. Has Than, and you know, this may be an opportunity for the reporter-photographer interview moment here. Has Than heard from his family, and does he offer any insight into what's going on in Benton County right now?
Yeah, Jonathan, if you want to answer some questions for us, you said that you sent me some pics of what your folks have sent in Benton County. Tell me, have they described anything specific, anything extreme? Because we saw a lot of the similar ice accumulation that was here in Lafayette County in those pictures that Than sent. Is there anything that you saw, Than? If you want to stay behind the camera, that's all right.
Hey there. So yeah, my mom has been texting me all day. She has been saying that, you know, trees have fallen down everywhere. You know, it's just a super thick layer of ice. She said that her and my brother have actually moved to a shelter just so they can, with other people in the community, just so they can stay warm with everyone else.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad folks are looking out for each other, especially from Benton County to here. We know that schools are going to be closed. Oxford City schools and Lafayette County schools are going to be closed for the rest of the week because it's anticipated that these power outages that we've seen throughout the county are going to continue. We've seen some of the gnarliest in downtown Oxford in terms of lines being down, tree branches barely hanging on, blocking roads. That was the worst we've seen was on South Lamar so far.
All right, students look like they're getting out and about. I see many of them walking back behind you. You had a great interview today with some Ole Miss students there. They were looking for food and a warm place to hang out. The power is out, right, at the dorms at Ole Miss? Any update on
we
that?
did learn that we did learn that I think it's called Rebel Mart, their student union. They are serving hot food, so they have at least one place that's open. But when I last talked to students, they said that none of the dorms, none of the dormitories, residential halls have had power since early this morning.
All right, so I know a lot of people in and around the Memphis metro with kids down at Ole Miss. I know they're worried about them, but it is promising to see traffic moving along, traffic lights, people walking out and about. But look, I want you guys to find a warm, safe place. I know you're going to be bringing us a report live on Action News 5 and tonight again for Action News 5 at 10. Gardner, before I let you go, any idea how long you guys plan to stay down there? Are you going to be bringing us reports for the next couple of days or what?
Yeah, so we've learned that we're definitely going to be staying here for Monday. This is exactly back to where we'll be Monday because it looks like while this precipitation has pretty much concluded, we're still expecting this ice not to let up until at least Tuesday.
Yeah, that's going to be on the ground all week. I guarantee it. Roads may get a little better with traffic and friction, but temperatures, that's going to be brutal. It's the cold that's coming into play right now. Great job, Garner. Thank you very much for the information and the live reports you've been bringing us in your 36 hours down there in Lafayette County. Garner Montgomery with Than Clayton, our videographer, who was working alongside him. You heard from Than a moment ago saying he's got family in Benton County, and it looks like they're holding up well. We can only hope the best for the rest of Benton, Tippah County, and folks in Alcorn County, the hardest hit areas, all the way down to Lafayette County. We're hoping to talk to Mayor Orlando Patton in just a moment. He is the mayor of Clarksdale. They were right there in the path of it as well, and it looked like they were in a pretty good side of it. The ice storm warning was for Quitman County and points east. Clarksdale and Coahoma County just on the outside of that. So Amani Williams talked to us just a moment ago, but I want to know more from the mayor about how EMA officials are doing down there. Highway 61, of course, a very heavily trafficked thoroughfare through northwestern Mississippi and down through the down to the Mississippi Delta. So that is a very important travel route, and with roads as they are, I'd like to get a report from the mayor and to find out how things are moving there and any plans they have in dealing with this. So ice and cold. The storm is gone, all right? The ice is out. Some snow flurries are going to continue as we get on into the rest of the afternoon and evening. We've got clouds in place, bitter cold, and it squeezes the last remnants of moisture out. So don't be surprised if you see some flurries flying over the next few hours, but we're not looking at anything in the way of significant accumulation other than maybe a dusting, possibly as much as 1/4 of an inch overall. But comparatively speaking, on top of what is already on the ground, that in and of itself is negligible. It's going to be the fact that streets are going to become just ice skating rinks over the next several days. And no matter where you are, from even up around Dyersburg, down south to Clarksdale, east to Corinth, west to Wynn, a lot of snow, a lot of ice. But right now, the hardest hit areas, and you can see on the power outage map that is behind me, the highest areas, the greatest areas of impact, northeast Mississippi, and for areas along and south of the 40 corridor in West Tennessee. Hardeman County, we were hoping to talk to the mayor there, and in Bolivar, they got no time. So we are hoping to find out some information from the town of Bolivar and from Hardeman County as to how things are right now. You know, and our hearts go out to them. They were hit very hard with the storms that came through in the spring, Hardeman and McNairy counties. And right now, McNairy County also dealing with the ice and freezing rain from earlier in the day or overnight and early this morning. But almost a 1-2 punch in less than a year's time. So many people in Hardeman and McNairy County still rebuilding, cleaning up after deadly tornadoes that came through in the spring. And now you throw this ice on top of it, and it just shuts everything down. Hey, Doc Holliday, do you have a minute to come talk to me? Because the Memphis Grizzlies are supposed to play at 2:30 today. They canceled the game for good reason. But give us an idea of, you were down at FedEx Forum ready to go for the game. What was a mindset down there? Players, teams, and everything. And what caused the cancellation of the game?
Well, we saw some Grizzlies players in there warming up, getting ready, doing their whole pregame routine, and we were ready to roll. Me and Adam Crystal was down there. Matt Enfield was down there with Mike Moore, so we were ready to give the team coverage. And once we found out the game was postponed, I really wasn't too surprised. The teams are here, but I know the employee parking lots were extremely empty. So I'm not sure if they had a lot of people call in. I don't want to assume, but I didn't see a lot of employee parking. The parking lot was empty, so I don't know if they called in and couldn't make it to work.
Sense.
Yeah, so
because last night we were talking, and even thinking, well, nobody's going to go to the game. Fortunately, we're going to broadcast it, or our plan was to broadcast it. And we thought, well, they'll play anyway, whether fans are there or not. But we didn't even take into account the potential for the support team, the AV crews, the docents, all the other people involved, the scorekeepers, not being able to get there. I guess that went into the decision.
I would think so. Like I said, I don't want to assume, but that's just what I saw. That's why I think that's probably why they waited so long to postpone the game. Like we said, because both teams were there. They were ready to rock and roll. But when you were looking at the employees that were not there and the lack of cars out there. So I don't know if that played into the decision, but they should have, man, because these streets are dangerous.
Do they scratch the game, Doc, or do they reschedule? And how does that work?
That's the NBA, man. They're going to reschedule. They say if you have tickets for today's game, they will be good for whenever they reschedule a game and schedule the game again at FedEx Forum. So you'll be able to use today's tickets to get into that game. This is the NBA, man. It's a lot of money involved. There ain't no scratching no games.
Absolutely.
You know, so they're going to play that game.
Well, I hope they play that game when it's a lot warmer, Doc.
Indeed, man. It's freezing out there.
Hey, man, you've been doing a great job reporting for us. You and Infield transitioning to reporters for us, bringing us live reports from the field. So we certainly appreciate it.
Well, our contracts do state sports director and any other responsibilities that No, it's our pleasure, man, because it's all about keeping the people safe and informed.
This is all hands on deck. Doc Holliday, thank you.
Thank you,
Hey,
Ron
I've got Mayor Orlando Patton. He's on the phone. Mr. Mayor, it's Ron Childers at Action News 5. We are on the iPhone. I was hoping to get you on a Zoom, but I'm going to hold my microphone up here and let's get a report. Can you give us first of all an overall assessment? Amani Williams has been down there, brought us a report, but you can kind of give us an inside look on how this is impacting local officials, EMA, and just the citizens in themselves. What do you have for us, Mr. Mayor?
So, good afternoon again. Thank you all for your concern. We're here actively working. We have individuals out, such as our police, public works, fire department, sheriff department, EMA, Padford, the local hospital. Everybody is working together to make sure that people are safe as possible. We have individuals that are clearing the roads out, but we do know as the temperature drops, the roads will freeze up. Hopefully precipitation is leaving, but we're asking individuals, if they do not have to come out, please remain at home. The police department, public works, the fire stations, fire department, they are out making sure that individuals, essential workers, are getting to work, to the hospital and various places, the nursing homes, and private duty sitting.
Mr. Mayor, what do you see as the biggest challenge over the next 24 to 48 hours for Coahoma County and Clarksdale?
Well, one of the challenges would be making sure that the roads are clear, making sure that people can enter and exit. Those are the major things right now. Most of the stores are closed as well, but as things begin to clear up, they will reopen.
Mr. Mayor, should anyone have medical issues, how is the city's ability to respond? Hospitals, are they going to be able to take care of those folks?
Most definitely. What has happened? We created a listing of individuals that are that may be on oxygen and on medical devices. We have asked individuals to give us those names and numbers, and we'll make sure that we're taking care of those individuals. But as I stated earlier, Pafford, our local hospital, and medical emergency groups are working together to make sure that we get to those individuals.
Any needs from the surrounding community, Mr. Mayor, that for people who may want to help out? Any specific needs or just things that they can do other than just offering up their positive vibes and prayers?
Yeah. So we have housed the unhoused over to our civic auditorium, which serves as a warming station and a place for people to go. So our officers and fire department is picking up food from our care station to provide for people. So if they want to give blankets and stuff like that, they can do that. But individuals are being taken care of.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I know this has been a marathon leading up to it, and the marathon continues for the next several days. You all are going to be digging out for a while, and now the bitter cold that follows, it's not making this situation any better. I know you and all of the officials there are very busy people. We especially thank you for taking time out of your day today to talk with us. Amani Williams is going to be bringing us a live report from Clarksdale later this evening, so we're looking forward to that. And again, thank you for taking time out of your day, Mr. Mayor. Any final thoughts before I let you go?
Again, thank you. Again, we're trying to reiterate that we're asking individuals to stay home if they do not have to be out, because as the temperature drops, the roads will ice over. Even though we have individuals clearing the roads out, they will ice over. We're asking everybody to be careful. We're cleaning out the major roads.
All right, Mr. Mayor, a common theme being heard all across the Mid-South. Again, Mayor Orlando Patton, the mayor of Clarksdale, Mississippi, Coahoma County, hit pretty hard, primarily with just sleet and snow for the most part, but all over the Mid-South, that's the big issue. It's the ice, the freezing rain that was the major issue for northern Mississippi. You see that map behind me? That is a power outage map. Eric Brill was around here a moment ago. Is he still here? I'd like to see if he could refresh that map for me, maybe give us a better idea of what current power outages are like right now, because I know we're showing 1.25% of Oxford without power. Eric, any way to refresh that map, or is that okay? So and I think as a result of the power being out in those areas, it's impacting the data coming into our system to give you an accurate display. But after hearing from Garner Montgomery and hearing from, we heard from Evan Giddon a little earlier this afternoon about conditions in Corinth. Our map's showing 56% of power outages to customers there, but he confirms that it was closer to 100%, and I think that's the case for Oxford as well. We have Poinsett County EMA Director with me right now. I do believe that's Scott Williams. Where am I at? Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I sure can.
All right, Scott, I was talking to my buddy Ryan Vaughn up there, who's at Region 8, one of our gray stations. He reported primarily snow and sleet up there. What was the case for Poinsett County? A little farther south, a little closer to that ice line. What did you guys end up with?
We had exactly the same thing, very minimal freezing rain.
Now, what is the biggest challenge for Poinsett County right now?
Getting the roads cleared off. There was a lot of snow.
How are crews responding to that? Do you guys have the snow plows? You know, here we are we're in the Mid-South. We're not used to this. Do you guys have the equipment to help take care of that and alleviate those issues?
Yes, sir. As far as Poinsett County goes right now, The State Highway Department has 4 plows 24 hours a day, along with the Poinsett County Road Department assisting in the cleanup of the main roads so emergency personnel can travel safely.
So with the bitter cold setting in, one of the big problems are water mains freezing. Do you guys anticipate having to deal with any issues? You are going to be a little colder up there comparatively speaking to the rest of the Mid-South. How are you all dealing with that, and are there any concerns for that?
Well, all the cities are prepared for a water main break, as cold as it's going to be. But individual homeowners need to be aware because we've actually last night had a water line break in the ceiling of a house.
Scott, this is going to... Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Break in the house in Truman, and they had to evacuate.
Now, this is going to be a situation we're going to deal with for the next several days to come, and it's quite possible that the greater impact of this may not even be felt until we thaw out. What's your thinking on that?
I believe you're probably right with that. It will not show real good till it thaws.
What are the greater needs for Poinsett County right now, if any?
Well, right now, our power grids are holding energy and Craighead Electric, and we have had no accidents that I'm aware of, just people getting stranded by getting in drifts or, getting stuck in the snow.
And that in turn then causes first responders to have to stop from helping somebody else who really needs it, to just people who may be even out and about, just sightseeing or what have you, getting stuck in all of this. Before I let you go, any advice or any final thoughts to the people of Harrisburg and Poinsett County as to what this is going to mean for the county for the week ahead?
Well, if you can and are able, stay off the roads, please. They are still very unsafe. The highway department's got a lot of work to do before this is cleared up. Also, we have warming stations that, if open, will be open for 24 hours a day in every city in Poinsett County.
Scott, a lot of schools, I'll let you go. One final question I thought of. A lot of schools around the Mid-South canceling for tomorrow, likely canceled for Poinsett County. I don't think I've heard anything official, but do you have anything that you can share with us in regard to schools and school closings for the week ahead?
Yes. I know Truman's closed, Harrisburg, Wiener, and I'm sure in the process, Mark Tree, Lepanto, or ETC closed.
All right. Well, listen, Scott, I know you are a busy man, you and your entire crews and all the county officials in that area. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to us here on our Action News 5 digital desk. Our hearts and prayers go out to you all. And I hope everybody there in Poinsett County hunkers down, heed your advice, stay off the roads, and you guys get back to normal in a week or so. Thank you again for taking time out, Scott. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bye.
That's pretty much the message we've been hearing from everybody. Stay home, off the roads. By getting out and about, just doing a little sightseeing or what have you, you could find yourself in trouble quickly, and that diverts much needed EMA or first responders going to you when they could be helping someone else who may be in more or even a medical need. So that's the case overall across the Mid-South. You see the high five camera behind me. That is Midtown, looking to the west towards downtown. Looks like clouds are trying to break up a little bit. You may still find a few flurries in and around the area, but overall a better pattern in regard to precipitation is evolving. There's still enough cloud cover out there and enough moisture in the mid-levels of the atmosphere that this bitter cold could squeeze out a few more flurries. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a dusting or maybe even a 1/4 of an inch of additional snowfall in a few locations. But at this point, that's negligible and doesn't even really matter right now. So the main theme, stay home, stay off the roads. Don't forget about your elderly friends, neighbors, relatives. Check on them. Make sure they are okay. Make sure they have food. Make sure they have warm, shelter, and just are in a good shape to ride this out, because this is going to be a storm that I believe is going to impact the Mid-South for the rest of the week. And although we fared well here in the city of Memphis, Shelby County, and across the Mid-South, much of the Mid-South relatively speaking, down in northern Mississippi, that's where we're finding big problems there. I want to bring in my buddy Eric Brill right now. You and I rode this out, spent the night here at the station last night. Pretty much played out as we had expected as far as the forecast goes. But, man, last night we were watching that tree that's in. We had our high-five camera positioned over the court square, the courthouse there. There was a tree. Yeah. And we decided to just kind of watch that. And then watch the branches just slowly bend and bend and bend. This morning, that tree's split in half, what I'm told.
Yeah, I believe the guys were saying between Patrick and Riley that it happened, I believe, at about 5 o'clock. I thought it happened at about 3 o'clock. I mean, whether it's 3 or 5, it's not like it makes a difference. But it was, when we saw how hard it was raining, it's about 11 o'clock, 11:30. Yeah. That was the uh-oh moment.
Yeah, it was washing away the ice. It was already there.
Right.
It was coming down that hard.
So it's almost kind of what happened in Lafayette County, and I mean, there's a lot of counties: Alcorn, Benton, Tippah, Union, Prentiss, Tishomingo. That whole northeast Mississippi area is terrible. But at least that rain was falling hard enough that it hindered the overall ice accretion that could have happened had that been raining a little bit lighter, because it rained so hard that I think some of that wasn't able to accumulate necessarily on tree branches and things of that nature. But then, unfortunately, it started to slow down, and obviously we've seen what happened here across that portion of the Mid-South today. Just a terrible situation overall.
In your years of forecasting, and you've got several under your belt, you've been in many cold weather climates, including North Dakota, the Northeast, even Idaho and Twin Falls. But you'd never been through an ice storm before.
Right. So definitely kind of unfortunately, a new thing to put under my belt here. I wish it did happen, and nobody wants it to happen, of course, but it's always interesting seeing how, when you put together a forecast, how it evolves and how it compares to what you anticipated, how it played out there. And, tip of the cap to you, this goes back to last week, and Ron had texted us saying, hey, I think we should probably have first alert weather days for Saturday and Sunday, and Patrick and I, we kind of said, let's just hold on and kind of make sure this comes to fruition here.
We were being optimistic.
Right.
I was kind of looking at it more of a pessimistic view, but you guys were somewhat hopeful that the Arctic high would kind of win out and push it south.
Right.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately. But no, this was definitely kind of a unique experience with that. And I think overall with that, because we really kind of had two rounds with this. We had the one round that came through from really late morning into the afternoon hours. Everything kind of quit from about 3 p.m. to 9 o'clock in the evening. And after that first round came through, overall, throughout the entire Mid-South, we fared pretty well. There were some power outages, but a few hundred people here, a few hundred people there. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that bad. But all of a sudden, once we got towards 9, 10 o'clock, boom.
Bang. There was one point last night, we were watching the high five camera in Oxford, and Eric was the first to notice the blue flash in the sky. You originally thought it was lightning.
Right.
Thought it was freezing rain
Because
lightning.
naturally when you see that, if you see a flash on a camera, you're like, oh, it must be lightning. And you said, what color was it? You literally said that right away, and I said it was blue, and you said, nope, that was a transformer going out. And I want to say that was at about 11:30 in the evening. And from about 11:30 to 2 a.m., because by that point at 2 o'clock in the morning, it was Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers, it was myself, it was Patrick, and it was Riley. All four of us were down there. And the power outages that we have on one of our systems, it went from being, I believe, about 2,500 to 10,000.
Like that.
Yeah. And that was the oh, here we really go now sort of situation.
And all week long, we had really thought Corinth to Oxford. Yeah. That was our main thinking all along, that they are going to get hit hard with freezing rain. And we were really concerned about the town of Oxford, Lafayette County overall, but to see that spread north and east and those blue flashes, two experiences taught me that. One was Ice Storm 94, and then the other was Hurricane Elvis in 2003. When that came down Union Avenue, I remember I was relatively still somewhat I'd been doing this for a little while, but not experienced in a derecho wind event like that. We had the thunderstorm coming down, and I asked the director at the time, Lyle Bontrager, I said, will you turn the camera to the west? I think we're going to see the storm coming in and lightning. We start seeing the blue flashes, and I remember being on the air, same thing as you thought.
Yeah.
Oh, there's lightning that's coming down,
Yeah.
and then we realized it wasn't until we went back and slowed it down and played it back frame by frame. It was transformers exploding coming down Union Avenue.
I don't know if you saw this too, but there actually ended up being, instead of a typical thunderstorm, there ended up being an ice storm thunderstorm that actually did occur in Oxford and that general area last night. So that just goes to show really how much energy there was built up there and ended up happening. But man, I'll tell you what, the one thing that I've been thinking about here just over the past little bit, you talk about Northeast Mississippi and even parts of the Tennessee River Valley stretching into Tennessee. That's unfortunately, I don't want to say it's a magnet when it comes to tornadic activity, but over the past 10 years, that has unfortunately been the case. And now for this to happen on top of it, it just, quite frankly, it sucks to see.
Yeah, it does.
It's terrible to see.
Look, we were trying to get in touch with
Yeah.
the mayor of Hardeman County, of Bolivar,
Yeah.
and EMA officials in Hardeman County. They all told us, no, we don't have time. And it looks like just on the power outage map I had up earlier, they got hit pretty hard.
About
But
half
you
the
were
customers
down
that were
there-
out.
You were down there after the storms in April,
Yeah.
and they were hit very hard
Yeah.
from that as well. And now it's like almost a 1-2 punch in less than a year's time.
Right, and specifically into Alcorn County, at one point there was no power, I believe, in the entire county itself. Now it's improved up to about, I think, 60 to 70% of customers that have power or that don't have power. So it's improved, a little bit, but just the whole thing, it's terrible to see it. I think that's one thing, just as far as from a meteorologist standpoint, we can give you a forecast and what we anticipate is going to happen, but we never want to see anybody get hurt or anything like that. Obviously, we never want to see destruction. And when it happens, it just makes you say, what could you have done different to kind of help people out here? But when it comes to an ice storm, there's nothing you could do. Mother Nature is just going to unfortunately do its thing.
Well, we're finding out information right now. In April, I think we had 20 plus fatalities as a result of those tornadoes coming through. And the tornadoes, instill a lot of fear in people, but they're really surgical and impacting smaller areas. This was more widespread, and then you add the ice, the bitter cold. You would think, especially impacting the entire area, that fatalities have the potential to be higher.
Yeah.
But so far, officially, I believe we've only had one fatality that I am aware of at this point.
Are you talking about in
Dyer
Dyersburg?
County?
Yeah. But unfortunately, we're done with the ice storm per se.
Yeah.
We got the cold.
You just got the forecast together. I've been going live on television this afternoon and here on the digital desk. You've been honed in on the forecast.
Yeah.
Let's give us our first alert to what you see coming.
So I was talking with meteorologist Riley Winch because he's still hanging around. Tell you what, dude, he's one of us as far as he just doesn't leave.
Yeah, he does. And let me tell you
Well, that's
something.
a good thing to have.
Riley's knowledge of cold
Brag on
weather,
him.
even though he's relatively new in his career. He spent about half of it down in Tallahassee. His tropical knowledge is amazing, but he grew up in New Jersey and the Northeast, and man, he was spot on with some of his assessment, and especially with microphysics in regard to this situation. So he impressed the heck out of me. But what are you guys thinking for what's coming our way over the next 7 to 10 days?
So one observation that I made specifically right now, the clouds are clearing out actually a little bit quicker than I anticipated right now.
Temperature's going to fall quicker.
Yeah.
What are you going with for a low tonight? What do you think?
6
degrees.
And that's for Memphis and Shelby County, which, is typically going to be one of the warmer places around the Mid-South because there's just so much concrete, asphalt, just physical things here.
But not a lot of warmth to absorb.
Right.
Because typically we absorb that warmth during the day and radiate it back at night.
Yeah.
Everything's covered in sleet right now.
But and that's Mid-South wide. It's not just, it doesn't make a difference if you're in Dyersburg, if you're in Takapola, if you're in Clarksdale, if you're in Clayton, Forest City, Selmer, keep going down the line here. Everybody has something on the ground right now. Did get an interest. The National Weather Service, they start trickling in different reports that people send in with snow and sleet and things of that nature. Marks, Mississippi, 5.5 inches of snow and sleet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Majority snow, majority sleet.
It didn't say specifically. I would. That has to be sleet. Because think about how long was snow. It snowed there initially on Saturday morning, but it was sleet more than anything. I'd have to speculate.
I just got off of
5.5 inches.
I just got off a Zoom call with Scott Williams, the Poinsett County EMA director, and he was talking about that they got snow and then that sleet that came in on top of it. So they already had about close to 4 inches of snow on the ground. You get another 1 to 2 inches of sleet on top of it, creates basically a layer of ice. But were there any other communities or another community that just kind of caught your attention as far as accumulation amounts go?
That Marks one got my attention without a doubt.
Who was the highest?
So Dyersburg has an unofficial report of 10.
And that we had been saying that we were going 4 to 8, which is the widest assessment. And the reasoning for, you may be going, well, why couldn't you narrow it down a little tighter? We didn't know what type of precipitation would fall there. Sleet, if it had changed all the sleet, that knocks down the overall accumulation or depth of it tremendously. So just the uncertainty in the type of precipitation, but we were also somewhat confident that higher total would be around Dyersburg. We were going 4 to 8 and had the plus because we'd had the discussion about there's going to be a couple areas with 10.
Yeah, and it is an unofficial report that came from a storm spotter up there. And I feel like a couple of people kind of questioning how true it is. But at least somebody did report it, so you got to take and run with it. You never know how they measured it and whatnot. But there were some reports of 6s and 7s, as much as I shouldn't have said that. But, it's just kind of interesting to see some of the totals here. But nothing really, aside from that Marks, Mississippi one, 5.5, just seemed like very much an outlier with respect to an area that saw, I would have thought, a little more freezing rain than necessarily snow and sleet being that large of a total.
I've got Connor Montgomery. I'm going to go back to him in just a minute. But overall, average ice accumulation in northeast Mississippi. Oh, we're going to go to Tate Reeves in just a minute, but real quick.
Some areas have got 1.5 inches. I wouldn't be shocked. In Lafayette, for the largest totals, I wouldn't be surprised if there was 1.5 inches.
Well, before the heavier freezing rain came in, there was already about 3/4 of an inch on many of the trees.
Yeah, and the heaviest accumulations or accretions happen, in my opinion, with that second round more than that first round.
Interesting note. And just for reference, a 30-foot wide tree with ice, with 1/2 inch of ice, adds 7,000 pounds to that. So we had trees with about 1 inch of ice on it. That's 14,000 pounds on a tree.
Yeah, it can't sustain that.
No, not at all.
Especially, too, keep in mind, it's also been a bit breezy today. So that only amplifies it, too, because, if something has a lot of weight to it, it gets knocked over, it gives it a little wind. Unfortunately, they're going to come down.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks to all of you for being here for this briefing on a Sunday afternoon, a very cold Sunday afternoon all throughout the state of Mississippi and the better part of our country. We wanted to give an update on where we find ourselves here on this Sunday afternoon, knowing that things are bad in a lot of areas across our state. And with the temperatures not likely to get above freezing, it's more likely that things are going to get worse before they get better. And we want to make sure that everyone, first and foremost, across the state takes care and reaches out to their friends and their family and their neighbors in these challenging times. Approximately 47 counties across Mississippi have been impacted by this winter weather. We believe that approximately 37 counties have ice. We did a 1 p.m. call with the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency and all of our county coordinators to ensure that any unmet needs were discussed, and we have a plan in place to deal with them. I announced yesterday that President Trump has signed a federal emergency declaration. That obviously frees up resources for us to be able to move throughout the state. We have requested from our partners at the Federal Emergency Management Agency 30 generators, several truckloads of water, several truckloads full of MREs, and we've also been in conversations with them regarding cots, blankets, tarps, and other essentials. As we look at the total number of individuals throughout the state, this number has been fluctuating throughout the day, but it has reached a number as high as 180,000 approximately. Customers throughout the state of Mississippi do not have power or have not had power throughout the day. Again, that is changing, and it's going to continue to change as sun goes down, as the temperature continues to fall, and as this ice that is on trees situated throughout the various counties, as tree limbs fall, they tend to fall on power lines that are above the ground, and so that's going to lead to some potential more challenges. The ice on the roads, and as you know, Brad White, our Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation, is here and will have a few remarks as well. He has had teams throughout the state literally since Wednesday. He'll tell you that we have laid more precautionary stuff on the roads to get prepared for this than we have in any storm in the history of our state. But even so, there are a lot of roads throughout the state of Mississippi that have ice and are relatively dangerous. One of the messages that we want to be clear on today is if you do not have to be on the roads, please stay off the roads because we're going to have MDOT personnel out and about trying to clear those roads. We're going to have linemen from our utility companies out and about trying to get power back on, and also we're going to have the Department of Public Safety out and about. And if you are in an accident because you're out on the road for no reason, then obviously that drains resources that could be being utilized to help the people who are affected by the storm to get out and help you. So please don't get on the road unless it's necessary, but do please reach out to your friends and family and make sure they are okay. We have approximately 58 warming shelters open all throughout the state of Mississippi. There are several of them that are currently are underutilized, and then we've got several that are maxing capacity, and we're working with our locals to see what we need to do in those instances as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mac and let him say a few things, and then we'll turn it over to Brad. Dr. Crane.
Thank you, Governor. Just want to iterate one thing. We've it's been going around on social media that somebody heard that FEMA is giving the state of Mississippi generators and it's going to go to homeowners. It's not. That would be 1.4 million connections of electricity. Then there's no possible way to do that. So these are prioritized. These are prioritized going to nursing homes. If you don't crank a car for a while, we have a generator that fails. We've got to get that to a place that's out there and it's going to provide services for 500 people in that nursing home. Or it's going to go to a lift station to keep that sewage running. Or it's going to go to a water. We've got rural water associations working real hard with us to identify those systems that might have gone down or those that do need to keep that water moving, because if you don't keep water moving in a pipe in this kind of weather in Mississippi, it's going to freeze, and then it's just going to cause you some compounded problems out there while we're doing that. So we want to reiterate that those are not generators that we're trying to get in place for the individual public. That is for the governmental services to keep those running, to keep those things that you need on an everyday basis. The electric companies are doing a jam-up job. Let's talk about some of the people we don't talk about very much. Volunteer firemen, those local EM directors that are over those volunteer fire agencies. They're out there with chainsaws. They are actually trying to remove every tree that falls. We had 1 220 last night right here close to the Jackson area. that blocked off the highway for a good amount of time. But those folks, as well as MDOT, they're out there with crews. But when we run up on one with a power line, we got to hold up. We've got to wait for a power company to get out there to make that safe for those volunteer firefighters, those crews that are out there making the cuts, making the stuff happen. So we want to actually give them time to do some work. Thank you, Mississippi, for staying off the roads today. It has been a good opportunity for MDOT to do assessments, for DPS to do the assessments and to send that back in. But as the governor said, we got 37 counties with ice. My four-wheel drive that the state of Mississippi provides me does not go on ice. It does not. So that's something you've got to be aware of, that you've got a vehicle. Ice is not a good place. So we're open for the next 24 to 36 hours. If we get some good sunlight tomorrow, Brad might talk about it, how it hits the pavement, the asphalt, and it will help break up that just a little bit. But then tomorrow night it's going to freeze again. So we've got this first 72's on you. We're into that. We are into that time where we need you to hold steady, stay at home, check on your loved ones and whatnot. And if you've got an emergency, call it. Those emergency managers, emergency directors at the local level, we're racking and stacking what they need. And when we can get those supplies out to them, we're going to do it. We're going to do it safely so we don't end up in an accident ourselves. I'll answer any questions at the end, but I'll pass it back to Brad to talk about MDOT.
Thank you. First, I would take this opportunity to brag on the men and women that make up the Mississippi Department of Transportation maintenance forces. I feel like our people were very well prepared for the storm, beginning, as the governor said earlier in the week, putting out record number of material to pre-treat the roadways and the bridges around to try to do the best we could to get ahead of what Mother Nature was going to bring. I think it was about 200,000 gallons of brine along with salt and sand and other materials that have been out, strategically placing our employees around the state to cover that impacted area. By and large, what we're seeing now is the parts of the Mississippi Delta, along with all of North Mississippi from the Arkansas line over to the Alabama line, have been heavily impacted. Loss of power, loss of water. The big task that we have before us now is the slush that has been on the roadways today, tonight will turn back into ice, and that's going to cause a lot of dangerous situations. The other problem we have is a lot of downed trees that are entangled with power lines and other factors that make it extremely unsafe for the motoring public as well as our employees to be out in that. The safety of our crews are our first priority, and so there is a point in the night that we send our folks home in order for them to get rest and get back out at daylight to go back to battling what we have before us. So as the governor said, we can sum up our road conditions and road travel in one word, and that is nope. We would love to see y'all, but not zigzagging across 3 lanes of traffic at 40 miles an hour. So the more that people can stay at home and out of the way, the better it will be for those of us that are trying to clear the roadways and get power and utilities and other things that the public needs back to them. With that, I'll turn it back to the governor, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Brad. When you think about this storm, you literally, from Mississippi's perspective, you can go to the southwest corner of our state at the Mississippi River and draw a diagonal line all the way up to the northeastern border where Alabama and Tennessee borders meet. And if you are north of that line, then there is likely an impact in the county that you live in. And it's a pretty significant event for us. Brad makes a very important point, which is there are a lot of state assets and state resources here at the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, at the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, at the Mississippi Department of Transportation, our county employees, our city employees who are out working in dangerous situations. So let's be sure and first of all pray for them, but also thank them when we see them. But again, if you don't have to be out and about, don't thank them in person for a couple of days if you don't mind, because I think it'll keep everyone much, much safer. So with that, I will open the floor to questions. Cordian.
Governor, can you talk about the challenges that come along with kind of the outside factors of things like the TVA transmission line line failure and what that looks like for these power associations in North Mississippi that serve such a large swath of the state.
Yeah, so I actually spoke with and have spoken with the CEOs of most of the utility companies over the last couple of days, and spoke with the CEO of TVA earlier today, and they are working to get that back online. There's no question about that. You've got both generation challenges that have been caused by this storm as well as transmission challenges. The transmissions tends to be handled by the rural electric authorities. And so we are all in conversation and communication and cooperation to get the power back on as soon as is humanly possible. The real challenges that exist in an ice storm is in many areas it's not safe for our people to be out and about trying to do things because of the amount of ice that is on the road. And also, it's not just the ice on the road, as Brad said earlier, it's when trees fall across the road, or when a power line that is above ground, a limb falls on the power line, and then the limb and the power line falls across the road. And so there's a unique and different situation in every single county that we're having to deal with. But clearly, the lack of power concerns me the most, because we are going to see such frigid temperatures tonight and tomorrow, and most likely on Monday night as well. And so as I think about the next 36 to 48 hours, I cannot reiterate strongly enough, most of the precipitation is probably out of our state now. Maybe a little bit down in the southeast part, but most of the actual precipitation that's falling from the sky is out of our state. But that doesn't mean that the danger is behind us, because what's going to happen is all of the ice that is currently on the trees, all of the slush that is currently on the roads, because it's getting so cold tonight, we're going to see refreezing. And so even if the sun comes out first thing tomorrow morning, which it's supposed to do, that doesn't mean that it's going to be safe on the roads, because it's literally going to be so frigid. And so I'm concerned about those temperatures and what that means. And it's really the challenge of an ice storm. We haven't seen a storm of this magnitude in terms of ice since 1994. We obviously had some very cold days and some ice that we dealt with in the early part of my administration. I believe it was 2021, I believe. But this magnitude, this large of an area in our state, and quite honestly, this much ice. We haven't seen anything like this since 1994 in Mississippi, so 32 years. So again, I do want to commend our fellow Mississippians. We have been fortunate that most people have stayed off the road today. That has been helpful, and that's allowed those who could get out and about and do their jobs, whether it's utility companies or MDOT or DPS. It's helped the counties and the cities, but again, we need to continue to stay in that mode for a little while longer.
I was wondering, you mentioned that Trump signed the emergency resource fund. I was wondering, when do you think that the funds kind of begin distributing throughout the state to the people that need the most?
Well, obviously the initial declaration is really about the resources that we need to be able to get resources to the cities and counties, things like generators for our long-term care facilities, as an example. It is truckloads of water that we can send to the various warming stations, as well as loads of cots and blankets and tarps. It also allows for a federal cost share as we progress forward as to exactly what those resources look like. We'll continue to work through that depending upon the longevity of this scenario. Yes, sir.
Carlos Garcia with 16 WFT. Most of the northern counties of the state are the ones that have been battered by ice and the snow. Is there a plan to prioritize them with these federal grants, and what's the message to the residents of those northern counties?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, when you look at the amount of ice in the Mississippi Delta, it's pretty incredible. Not too far northwest of Metro Jackson, there's some pretty serious ice that has fallen. in what I would consider the South Delta. And so we've got a very large area that is currently dealing with ice, and a very large area that is currently dealing with lost power. And so, you know, when we talk about prioritization, the utility companies are going to prioritize getting the most number of people back online as quickly as possible and get power back to the residences and the businesses across Mississippi as quickly as possible. And so that's something that they certainly have done for many, many years and will prioritize this year as well. Great.
Hi, Governor. Thank you. We just learned that Parchman State, the Mississippi State Penitentiary at Parchman and the Delta Correctional Facility in Greenwood both lost power. What information can you provide us about the situation at those prisons? We've heard that inmates have gone hours without heat and food. And what can you tell us about what's going on there now and also the cause as well?
Yeah, so the cause is obviously the frigid weather and the ice. We are aware of that. We are working on getting that done. I don't have any visibility in the last hour as to exactly where they are, but I'm confident that we will get that back online via generator. If not already, then very soon.
It's done. It's okay. Sorry, that's some of the things you work behind the lines and been working on Delta for about 3 days ahead of time. Their generator systems refused to start up. So we were trying to pre-start things everywhere we were. Now, Parchman's a little bit different situation. We've got 140K headed up that way to get it done. But the Delta Correctional Facility, we knew we had 3 that were not going to work. So we pre-positioned some of those up there. And when they finally lost power, you start tracing in those other generators to get that done. So Parchman just taken care of, and we've got those facilities up there. That just happened just a few moments ago, sir. As we knew we were going to have some issues up there. Those were older systems, so pre-staged. We were ready to put them in, and they're good to go at this time. So, thank you.
Out in North Carolina, their state's National Guard has deployed a few of their units to the city of Winston-Salem as part of their response. Are there any similar plans to use Mississippi's National Guard to respond to some of the most affected counties up in the north and the Delta?
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. We have a long history of utilizing the Mississippi National Guard in times of disasters. We believe we have an incredible National Guard, but at this time we do not anticipate the need to call out the Guard. Now, that could change, and so we certainly have the ability to do so at a moment's notice if and when we determine that is needed in our state. But at this time, with the Department of Public Safety, with where we find ourselves in the storm, we do not have any plans to call out the Guard. Yes.
To whomever, are there any updates? I know it's early in the process, but any updates on possible injuries or even deaths related to the storm?
Yeah, I have not been made aware of any confirmed weather-related fatalities. And I don't have a number on injuries at this time, but we are not aware of any confirmed weather-related injuries either. But again, I want to reiterate, we've gone through the last 36 hours. The weather is not going to get above freezing in much of the areas that currently have ice, particularly in North Mississippi and the Northwest Delta. Probably until Tuesday, and so that's one of the reasons that we're having this conversation and hope that all 3.1 million Mississippians are paying attention is because the weather is probably going to get worse before it gets better, and so check on your friends, check on your family, and check on your neighbors so that we can keep those confirmed numbers as low as is humanly possible. And so we have certainly seen some confirmed fatalities, for example, in Louisiana. I've seen the governor mention that, Governor Landry, across the Mississippi River. And obviously this storm hit them a little bit earlier than it hit us in some areas. So again, be diligent, be careful, pay attention, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. Cordelia?
A couple of power-related questions. One, have you gotten any kind of indication from those power associations, especially up north, if we're talking about days or weeks? I know that in 94th, you mentioned it was weeks for a lot of people. Should people be prepared for that? And then on the generator front, are there any areas where you're trying to get them to, but conditions aren't allowing you to get them to where they need to go?
Yeah, so the one thing I will begin with is we cannot put our people in known harm's way trying to get certain supplies to certain areas. Everybody wants to go, but it is incumbent upon all of us that we cannot create a catastrophe of our own making until it is safe for our people to do the things that they need to do. That's why the coordination is so very important. It's why it's incredibly important that we're having conversations with Brad and all of his team at the Department of Transportation so that we know what roads are safe versus what roads are passable. Because as we mentioned earlier, and it's so true, just because the road's passable doesn't mean that it's safe. And so we are certainly working through that. I don't even want to begin to try to forecast or estimate when some of the power can or cannot be put back on. As you mentioned, or someone mentioned earlier, in some of the northernmost counties, the roads are such that they haven't really been able to get out and get a real assessment. And so at this time, trying to put a time frame on it would just be pure speculation on my part. And I think most of the utility companies would say the same. But clearly, this is going to be, we have pre-positioned a lot of assets, a lot of resources, a lot of linemen from other parts of the country are here. And so once it is safe for them to get out and about, and by the way, we're seeing in some areas it has been more safe today than in others, but we are seeing them get power back to certain homes in areas where it is safe to do so. But unfortunately, up in that north part of the state, the northwest part of the Delta as well, where the ice was the worst, also is where the temperatures are the lowest now and are going to be the lowest tonight. And so we'll have to navigate our way through that.
You mentioned the magnitude of ice you've seen in the state with this winter storm, the greatest since 1994, that storm. Is this something that you guys, I guess all three of you can speak on, is this something that you guys anticipated, and especially in those northern counties where they're being hit the hardest, what's being done to get rid of that ice and the snow, especially in cities like Oxford where practically the whole city is without power?
Yeah, what I'll say a few things and I'll turn it over to these guys. And I told them earlier when I was, this is going to date me, but when I was growing up, I watched Woody Asaph on the air, and he always said, well, the weatherman says, what I can tell you today is the weatherman pretty much got this right. What they were projecting in Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, what actually happened is pretty close to what the projections were. So the National Weather Service, to their credit, we have been in constant coordination with them, and they have done an incredible job. And so again, these whenever you're 2 or 3 or 4 days out from a storm, it is incredibly important that we show that what the possibilities are. I think we did that last week, and it's also incredibly important that you don't create unnecessary panic. But clearly, the amount of ice that occurred, particularly in the north part of our state, was projected, it was forecasted, and it was pretty close to accurate, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what the governor said about the National Weather Service. I mean, they were very helpful to us. Our team began meeting with them earlier in this past week. All of the information they gave us, they were dead on, and has been extremely helpful. You know, Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, and the governor said before, one thing Mississippians do well is disasters, because unfortunately we've had our share of them. And so we knew going in that the biggest challenge we would have from the standpoint of the Department of Transportation would be ice, because snow you can plow out of the way. Ice is a little bit different. The only really good effective treatment of ice is sunshine and higher temperatures. So like the governor said, the best you can do is prepare. So we did as much as more than we've ever done in pre-treating roads, pre-treating bridges, positioning staff around the state, having chainsaws and other equipment ready and gassed up, and being available to the extent we could during the storm until it was just unsafe to have our people out, and allow them to go home, rest up, and get back out at daylight going at it again. To date, I feel real good with where we are, but it doesn't change the fact that we're dealing in some areas with a really serious, severe storm. And a lot of the battles that our folks will be fighting in the coming days is not just the ice, but the downed trees, the power lines that are entangled in the trees. This is nothing new for a storm of this size, but just the fact that it's not new doesn't make it any less complicated. So it's going to take a matter of time for us to be able to do that, and that's why we need the public's cooperation of staying at home and out of harm's way while we try to get things fixed back up. I will mention this, to my knowledge, we have been able to keep open at least a passable lane with all the interstates in the state, all of the 4-lane highways in the state. What roads may be closed are on 2-lane highways in more rural areas, and that's due to the trees and the power lines that we've been talking about, but we're coordinating with the power companies to try to get those back open as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think what's important to say is that 6 days ago, county calls. We already started that. We started talking with MDOT. We started talking with the Department of Public Safety, Department of Health, check all the nursing homes in North Mississippi. Let's make sure that they have. So, but Mother Nature's got the vote. She's got the final vote, and that happens during hurricanes. It happens during tornadoes. We prepare. We get things. We've already been, for the past 5 years that I've been at MEMA, we forward place things. We've got cots. We've got blankets. We've got water. We've got food. We put this out in the local EM directors' shops and tarps just to get them started, because we know that sometimes it's going to require more than what we ever did. So I think it's important that Mississippi, we start early, and we get ready for it, but then we just don't know what Mother Nature's going to do, how bad that ice is going to be, and we're looking at almost the first 72's on you. We're almost looking at that time frame. We're about a good 24 hours into this, and I'll go on a limb. I'm not a weather person, but I'm about a 48 hours what I really need for Mother Nature to come back and say, okay, we're going to give you a break now. We're going to melt it down. We're going to get those things done. But in the meantime, we're going to, as soon as we can, we're going to get that generator to that utility to get the water pressure back on. We want them to have running water in their houses. And please be careful with the generators. You know, folks like to go and buy a generator for the first time, take it out of the box and start it up and put it in their carport. Don't do it. That thing needs to be 20, 30 feet away from your house. There's a reason for that. Carbon dioxide and other things that we don't want anybody to try to refuel one in their carport and it catch fire, hit a muffler and things of that nature. So there's some things you got to be careful of, especially when you buy that brand new in a box generator and you roll it out there and you think it's going to solve all my problems. Where are you going to hook it into? You're going to run wires into your house. Do you have enough extension cords? How are you going to do this? This is not one that's attached to your home, professionally installed. The ones that we're sending out, there's going to be a team from the Corps of Engineers of 5 members that are professionals, electricians and whatnot, for grounding the whole 9 yards. When we drop a generator somewhere, it is hooked up properly. The power from the system and the regular power poles, it's cut off. We make sure that there's no way we're going to double feed that facility and something's going to happen. So there is those things that you've got to put in place. It's just not pull up with a generator and it's going to solve your problem. You got to make sure you got the right size. You got to have the right phase, triple phase, 2, single pole. All of that has to be brought into consent. But some of these that we're going to replace are ones that just failed. So they had one in place. So we had the plan. The plan was in place. Every county, we had a 1 o'clock call today. As one county said, y'all know I'm iced in. We're checking what we can, but we're doing as good as we can till you can get here. And we said, roger that. But they did have the first wave of supplies to be able to try to make it through this next 48. And we could have roads are passable in 48, but we still don't have power. We're still going to have heating stations, everything. Once those roads get open, then you've got a bigger machine that's going to come up. FEMA has started pushing us stuff. They started pushing the assets to us, and we're going to put those in the most vulnerable places that they need to be on time, in place, to be able to carry this on out. Bill's ready to eat. The American Red Cross is ready. We've got some supplies in for them. They're ready for the long haul on the backside to be able to have those feeding camps, the cots and things for people to stay warm for the next couple of days. So the plan is there. We're phasing it in. Mother Nature hits you harder sometimes. Look at South Mississippi. They got hit, but now they're probably like, what are y'all worried about? I mean, but the next couple of days it's going to refreeze and refreeze, and then when it melts, in that corner, in that curve, in that shady area where the trees are that Brad talked about, MDOT, that's going to be the black ice, and that's going to send you into a ditch, and there could possibly be some catastrophe there. So those are the things we continuously need to warn the public about, that once these roads are open, doesn't mean they're all clear. Let's methodically go through and make sure they are. Our local EM directors are out there checking that as they can, and they're reporting it in. We're putting it out through our distribution as well. So we just need to hunker down and Mississippi stay safe, and we're going to get through it. It'll just take us a couple of days.
Yeah, I just want to say one more time, just because I think it's important. Mississippians naturally want to get out and help, and we are encouraging you to talk to your neighbors and those that are close to you, your friends, your family. We normally, during disasters, whether it's a hurricane or a tornado, the event is outside the state, and our people, emergency managers, first responders, are itching to get to you. Ice is different. And that's what's challenging about this event, and the size and the severity of it is because we can't naturally get people out and about as quickly as we'd like, just because of the safety of the roads, et cetera. And so please be careful. Try not to create any unnecessary burdens, but also check on your neighbors, and we'll get through this together. And if there are no other questions, there's one more question, okay?
Michael with Mississippi State.
Hi there, just a very quick follow-up for Director McCraney. You said that you knew in advance you'd have some problems with the generators at Parchman and the Delta. Can you outline what state officials sort of did leading up to the storm to prepare if you'd have some problems with those generators?
Sure. I can tell you that about 3.5, 4 days ago, I got a phone call that said that 3 generators were iffy, and I don't like the word iffy. I said, so 3 generators are on the way up to you to be on standby to be able to plug up into that facility. The Parchman, that's a new problem. But the ones that were iffy to me 3.5 days ago, they were redirected, and we have emergency generator contracts that we executed very early on, before the governor gave us the authority under our administrative order. That began 3 days prior, and that's where I can start moving those assets, and we start moving those things that need to be done. So I can tell you the Delta Correctional, 3.5 days ago, emergency contracts were initiated. Our logistics folks were talking to theirs to see, how do you power the kitchen, and how do you power the C and the D blocks, et cetera, et cetera. So that one was well known and pushed forward to be able to be done. But sometimes things break in the middle of the night, and that Parchman one, when it broke, it becomes a priority. Those inhabitants, those customers within those facilities, they can't go home for the weekend. They can't go to the neighbor's house. And we realize that in every storm that comes, whether it's from a coastal storm, hurricanes, we look at prisons in South Mississippi, and we look at moving them north. So we knew that those are a big priority for us. We are the custodians of those individuals in those facilities, and we're going to make sure that we have the things there that take care of them.
One more question for Brad. I know that you weren't executive director in 21, but can you speak to any lessons learned from that experience? I recall the discussions about, look, ice is a different animal, but you've talked about you pre-treated more this time. Were there some lessons learned that were applied, you think, based on what happened a few years ago?
Well, one, the governor and the legislature has been very good to us with resources, so we were able to build up our resources and make sure that we had stockpile of materials that would be needed to properly pre-treat all of the roadways and bridges, making sure that we had enough equipment and the right type of equipment to handle a catastrophic weather storm, so we weren't caught without in that situation. But also, one of the things I think that we did a little bit better this time is we tried to communicate both with our elected leaders, our sister agencies, and the public a lot more on what to expect and what we're really experiencing. Most of the time, people are down on what they're not up on. And so we took very serious trying to get our messaging right and making sure that what information we were given, we were putting it out to the public in a timely manner. And I'm glad to say it seems that everybody responded to that. So it was a lot of host of things like that. And I'm sure that we'll be meeting when this is over to discuss what we could do differently and to make things better before the next time. We're always trying to improve, so I'm sure that won't be any different.
We're going to make a decision on that here right after this press briefing. I'll meet with my team and make a decision there. Obviously, we have state office buildings, Brad, particularly in North Mississippi, and where we're going to head with that is we're going to give agency heads some discretion. We don't want to put anyone in harm's way, but a lot of people in state government are going to be working tomorrow because A, it's a Monday, but B, because of the storm, and so there are agencies all across. And so I think most of the offices in central Mississippi will at least have some presence there, but we'll put out a release in the next hour or so on exactly what that's going to look like. All right. Thank you all. Have a great day. How are you?